God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and of a sound mind. You're listening to I Am Poised for Purpose podcast with Contessa Keel.
Welcome back to I Am Poised for Purpose podcast. I am your host, Contessa Keel, president and founder of Poised for Purpose Incorporated, where we seek to ignite spiritual growth in all individuals. I want to first thank you so much for listening and subscribing to this podcast. Our ministry has really grown and been on the move, and God has been doing some amazing things, so thank you so much. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of preaching to our congregation of New Seasons Cathedral Church of Mansfield, Texas, and I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. I wanted to talk to you about being restored for a purpose. In the book of Haggai, you will find the messages from the prophet Haggai to the people of Judah. They had been freed now from the Babylonian exile for a while, and they had gotten comfortable in their everyday lives, but God wanted more from them. God sent the prophet Haggai to give them a word that they had been relaxed for way too long while God's house lay in ruins. That God had restored them and freed them for a purpose. You know, many of us have been restored. We have been forgiven and set free. We have been snatched out of the hands of the enemy. We've been placed back into good standing and going with the flow for a while now. Just like the people in the book of Haggai, we get comfortable in our homes. We work on our jobs and we forget to prioritize the things of God. We get busy with our wants and our dreams, our desires, that we don't get in a hurry to do the things that God has purposed and called for us to do. And God is paying attention to that. In Haggai chapter 1, verse 6, it says, "You have sown so much, but brought in so little. You eat, but yet you are still hungry. You drink, but yet you are still thirsty. You put on layers and layers of clothes, but yet you are still cold. You get money, but it's as if you're putting it in a bag with holes in it." Wow. In other words, yes, you may be living your life. You may have a lot going for you. But if it's not what God has called you to do, and if it's not what He's purposed for you to do, then does it really have meaning? I know that a lot of us have been through a lot. But now is the time to stand up in our healing and our restoration. And at this point, you should be able to recognize that you were restored for a purpose. You have the resources, you have the time, you have everything you need to build the temple, to start the work, but you are just so slow about it. I will be honest, I get that way sometimes. You know, I'm human. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 4 small children. I work a full-time job as a director on an executive team. I manage people. I counsel women. I am busy. But even with everything that I do and everything that makes me who I am, there is still an assignment that God has given me to do that gets put on the back burner. And God will send people, even to me, to encourage me and to push me along back into my purpose. So don't forget the meaningful work. Don't forget the things that God's called you to do. Don't forget that you have a purpose in this earth, and there is something amazing that God wants to do. There's something amazing that God has called you to do that He can only do through you. There's something spectacular that God wants to do. And even though you may feel like you don't have enough time or you don't have the resources, but if you step out on faith and just get to work, I promise you that God will give you exactly what you need. Remember that God didn't bring you out of whatever you have come out of for you to just live a mundane life. There is so much more that God has for you. Solomon's temple was a place that housed the presence of God. That is where God dwelled. And He chose the people of Judah to restore His house. So what is the thing that you have been sitting on? What is the thing that God has given you to house and carry His glory? What is the idea that God gave you to help free His people or expand His kingdom? God is ready and waiting to reveal His presence and glory in the earth through you. But I know sometimes you feel like you just don't have time for it. But find the time. Again, I know that life gets busy, but don't forget about those guide ideas. Don't forget about the book you're supposed to write. Don't forget about the place that you're supposed to go volunteer at. The women's shelter that you spent a few nights at when you were struggling. Don't forget to go back. Don't forget to mentor those recovering from the addiction that God delivered you from. Don't forget whatever it is that God has called you to do. Don't forget. God is saying, I have restored you for a purpose, and the time to build is now. Like and follow us on Facebook, Poised for Purpose Incorporated. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to give a tax-deductible donation, you may also do so through Givelify, Poised for Purpose Incorporated, or Cash App, $, Poised for Purpose, INC. Remember, no matter what position you are in, you are poised for purpose.